Welcome everybody. My name is Tom Devine. I am with AVPro Edge, and I want to thank you for joining me today. What we are going to be doing is launching a new product. And I'm really excited about that. But for those that are watching live, it is St. Patrick's Day 2022. So I did bring my green hat that I will wear for this training to make sure that we got that Irish spirit. So what we're going to be talking about today is the 1x4 distribution amplifier. You're saying, oh, Tom, AVPro Edge has had a 1x4 distribution amplifier for quite some time. And that is true. This is a little bit different because it is an HDMI 2.1 device. It is capable of doing 40 gigabits per second. And that's technical jargon for saying that this is an 8K distribution amplifier, one of the first on the market. And as some of you know, we have released a matrix switcher and some other and some cables, and they've been doing great for us. And there's a lot of PS5s, Xbox Series X, a lot of computers out there that are doing these higher bandwidths. And there needs to be a way for custom installers to be able to get a hold of those products and distribute them properly. So AVPro Edge is making sure that you have those solutions. Before we get into the training, let's do a little bit of some housekeeping stuff. I am right now on the GoToWebinar control right now. So if you are watching me live, which I see there's a bunch of people here, just you can type your questions right there. There's in your GoToWebinar control panel, there's a little question section, and I will be able to see your questions as they come in, and then I can address them. I'm sure that if you have a question, then that means everyone else does, and we'll definitely want to get that answered. If you are watching this later on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. I'm sure it's not St. Patrick's Day anymore. I know, disappointing, but know that you are tackling a product that has been out since St. Patrick's Day 2022. And this is going to be the same for you guys for questions, except you can just put them in the comment section on YouTube or on Facebook or social media, wherever you end up seeing this. And I will be sure to get back to you. My name is Tom Devine, like I said. So now that we have our housekeeping things taken care of, let's talk a little bit about what our product we have here. This is a 1x4 distribution amplifier. That's what we call it. Most integrators are going to refer to these as splitters or repeaters, but it just takes one input and then it repeats it 4 different times. So you get the same exact image playing on 4 different displays without any latency or lag. They're playing everything at the exact same time. Because it is able to do 40 gigabits per second, it is an FRL5 device. That means it is able to work with other FRL5 devices like the Xbox Series X, or even a little bit lesser devices, FRL4 like the PS5. And you will be able to use all of the different bandwidths under that, including everything that you're seeing right now. Like that's 4K and high def. They'll still be able to handle those no problem. But then when you do introduce one of those higher bandwidth resolutions, you know you're going to be ready because you installed the right product. So let's take a look at what this product is. I have it connected right here, and I am going to go through a PowerPoint that'll just kind of break down what's going on. But let's just take first a look at our setup here. So as I talk, you guys can see kind of what's happening with it, with our devices. So you can see we have some other things over here. These are going to be, this is test equipment. And I wanted to make sure that you guys are able to see that this thing is working live at the type of devices. And I mentioned the Xbox Series X and I mentioned the PS5, but for integrators, for engineers, for people developing HDMI, we do not test our products with those kind of consumer devices. No, we have a engineering device. This is a 7 generator from Meridio, and this is able to duplicate any signal that any of those devices made, plus a ton more and it allows me to choose the audio, the video, the resolution, the color space, the timing, and then I can pick whatever I want. So right now I'm able to choose that I have a 7,680 pixels by 4,320 pixel image coming off of this generator, playing this test pattern right here that we're seeing. And then we are able to actually see our test pattern right here as well. Some things we'll get into is that this is a 4K display and this is a 8K test analyzer. So how are we getting the same image to go twice when I'm pumping in an 8K image? We just read 7,680 pixels. Well, that's part of the magic. That's what makes this special, is it's able to scale to work with those legacy products. And that's what this is going to do today. So real simple. You have one input, 4 outputs. They come in 2 different kind of output blocks because you do have a built-in scalars on outputs 2 and outputs 4, and yes, independent scaling. That is going to be a downscaler only. It's not going to upscale to 8K. It's going to take 8K and then downscale it to either 2K or 1080p, as most of us say, or 4K, allowing you to work with your 4K TVs, projectors, or your 1080p TVs, projectors, and AVRs, and we'll get into that as well here. So let's take a look a little bit further into the technical details. We'll kind of go over this, and I can answer any questions that you guys have at the end as we look a little bit closer at our setup and how we're doing it. But for now, let's pull up my PowerPoint. Everyone's favorite PowerPoint presentations. And even though the PowerPoint presentation isn't always exciting, it's going to have all the details and the information that we need, right? As you guys need, as you're offering this to your end users, putting it in your installations, and as I need it, because I need to be able to make sure I'm telling you guys everything we need. And so let's everything you need to know. So let's take a look at our first 2 scenarios right here. Scenario number 1. You introduce an HDMI 2.1 source. That's going to be a PS5, Xbox Series X, or PC into your installation. How does this device work with legacy audio systems? Let's say you just installed for your customer maybe 2 years ago a really nice AVR and really nice surround sound and speakers, a cool home theater. Well, now they're introducing an Xbox, they're introducing a PS5. It's able to do higher resolutions than that AVR can do. You're not able to go through that AVR. Well, this device will fix that exact scenario. So as you find yourself in that scenario, remember AVPro Edge has that solution, and for a pretty affordable cost here too. Scenario 2, you need to repeat an HDMI 2.1 signal throughout a bunch of displays, up to 4. And these 4 displays are not all HDMI 2.1. These displays are not all 8K. We have a 1080p display, we have a 4K display, and we have a couple 8K displays. Well, this is the other scenario when this device is going to come in to play. And I'm talking about 4 displays, but this is the same product to use when you only need a splitter to 2, right? Because we don't have a 1x2X, because we were able to bring the price down far enough that this is that same solution when you need a 1x2. So now that we know exactly the scenarios when we're needing a 1x4 X from AVPro, let's take a little bit closer at the product and how it's going to help you in those solutions. So as we can see, we see the product right here. Let me know in the notes, guys, if you're not able to hear or see me anytime during this thing. But you can see it's a nice little box, has a little front monitor, some buttons on that. And what it is, it's just a single input, 4 output. It has built-in downscaling into it, and it's a distribution amplifier. So where this sits at is bandwidth is very important to audio video integrators when they're distributing video. Video takes a lot of bandwidth. It can, the difference between a 4K 60 image and a 4K 24 image is a lot of data. And now we're jumping into 8K, that's even more. And so our old 4K images and our HDMI 2.0, that maxed out at 18 gigabits per second. Well, with HDMI 2.1, with the addition of the technologies with fixed rate link, we're able to push even larger signals through our HDMI pipeline. But we need to make sure we have the infrastructure for that, and that includes cabling, that includes repeating products like a distribution amplifier that we have here. So this one is going to be FRL 5, which is up to 40 gigabits per second, meaning that you can do any signal under the HDMI umbrella that is up to 40 gigabits per second. If you do have a signal that goes over 40 gigabits per second, which there are only about 3 signals that are not used in consumer products at this time, then you would have to change your EDID or change your scaling to make sure that you're only pushing 40. It does have built-in downscaling. So as like I said, it can downscale from 8K down to 4K or 8K down to 2K. And then it has HDMI 2.1 support, and that just is what it means to be able to go over 18 gigabits per second. It means to take advantage of these new technologies, which is like fixed rate link, allowing a system to be almost a smart system and learn what the best signaling is for that system. And then HDCP 2.3, even though a lot of these products do go into corporate environments and are used with their own cameras and go into churches and go into hospitals and different places like that, we still have a lot of customers that are installing this throughout their home. So we have to make sure that we are HDCP3 compliant, and this device is as well, meaning that if you do normally use it for conferencing and you normally need to just split it for a lobby of a hotel, well, now if somebody did want to watch some HDCP content, a Hollywood video, a Hollywood movie, a TV show that is from Netflix or Hulu, you do need to be HDCP compatible, and ours is HDCP 2.3 compatible. So you're going to make sure that any HDCP content is going to be able to flow directly through this repeater, and then we repeat those HDCP keys on each one of the outputs, so you don't have to worry that one of those four isn't going to get it. And then we have de-embedded 2-channel audio, but we also have multi-channel audio, just for Dolby Digital and those 5.1 channels through a Toslink. So we'll look at it a little bit closer, but there's a Toslink right here, and you can get even more than 2-channel through the de-embedded audio. All right, let's take a look a little bit closer. So now you guys can see it up close on your imaging. So take a look at this. I'm going to use my pointer to kind of point at what I'm talking about. But here's this monitor that I was telling you about. And on this monitor, it's going to be right here. If I click these buttons right here, I can actually go through a menu system that's going to allow me to affect EDID, the audio de-embedding, as well as that's how we manage our scaling. Remember, this is a distribution amplifier, right? It's not a matrix switcher. You're not going to put this into a control system that is going to be switched and inputs are going to be changed because we only have one single input. So there is no control system with the splitter. So in turn, your control's right up here. You'll set it up, you get it connected, and then you can just forget about it. It'll work for technically ever. Our warranty, of course, is 10 years. So here's your HDMI input right here in the middle. That's where you're going to plug in your HDMI source. In this case, we're using the 8K7 generator. We're going into the input right here, and then on our output, this is where we're coming out of our output. So we have outputs going to our 8K analyzer and to our 4K OLED display right behind us. And then you can see your little audio out. It's a very, it may look a little bit big here, but as I hold this is a very slim device. This is you can hide this many places. This is very sleek. It comes with rack little mounts, so you'd actually be able to mount this right to the back, and then you could stick a screw through it and hide this somewhere where you don't have to worry about it or your customer isn't going to ever see it. I do just want to talk a little bit about those technical specs. We talked a lot about bandwidth, and if you pay attention to AVPro, we're literally consistently always talking about bandwidth. So this is nothing new for us, but let's take a look about how bandwidth affects this in this FRL. And if you're not familiar with FRL, please get familiar. Do some Google searching. Look at our training that we have right on this YouTube channel, or if you're watching live, check out our YouTube channel for HDMI 2.1 training. But basically, FRL is called fixed rate link. It's a new technology through the HDMI's infrastructure that allows TVs, or we should say sources and sinks, because it's not always a TV. It could be a projector or a repeater or a monitor, to talk with your source and everything in between, and sending test signals to know what the best possible signal is that the entire length can handle, and then that source will play that signal, ensuring that you always get a picture on your screen. I mean, super joyous here for integrators with consistently having HDMI problems forever. This should really help integrators. But now we got to double check to make sure that we're getting the correct picture, because if it notices that there's a 720p device in line, your source may only send 720, even though you have an 8K device and an 8K display. So we have to make sure that we're having our entire infrastructure is set up for that. And the way that this technology works is through FRL. Fixed rate links, it's just a new way for data to flow through the HDMI cable. It before had 3 lanes of data and a clock telling that data when to go. Now we have changed that clock into being another lane. So now we have 4 individual lanes of data flowing at all times, giving us more bandwidth. Now, this bandwidth, you can see where it has number of lanes. FRL1 and FRL2 are still just using those 3 lanes. But then when we get into FRL3, 4, and 5, we're using all 4 lanes, and the lane rate is we're using 6 gigs per lane. So now, I'm sorry, we jumped ahead there. But then for FRL5, we're using 10 gigs per lane. So if you get 10 times 4, that's how we get our 40 gigabits per second. The only device that this, or the signaling this is not going to handle is this lower one, FRL6, which is under the HDMI 2.1 specification. But as AVPro Edge pushes future to the literal bleeding edge of technology, chips in the way that the chipsets that we are able to manipulate and use for video are not capable of handling this much data rate yet. But they will come, and of course AVPro will be first to market to make sure that you guys have those products available, just like we are here with this one right now. And now let's take a look a little bit about the actual data rates. Your first FRL1 and FRL2, that's kind of the signaling that we had to worry about when it was HDMI 2.0. But now with HDMI 2.1, we have to worry about all of these new signaling formats, and these could be used in different setups with different audio that are going to affect AVRs, TVs, sources, cables, everything differently, including distribution amplifiers. So AVPro Edge has been hard at work to make sure we've tested to ensure that we can work with 8K products, we can work with 4K products, and we can work with 1080p products as well. But the thing to see to really realize out of this is, let's look at that FRL6 that we're not able to do. You're really only missing these 3 signal types, and it's all under 12-bit color. So it's not something that is readily available for consumer use at this time. Now we're just going to take a look at a simple connection, right? You have your HDMI 2.1 source. That's right now we're using a 7 generator, the 8K version, and we're going into our device. And then we have 4 displays, but one of this isn't a display. One could be an AVR, and that will be exactly what we're going to talk about in a second. Is using this product to optimize your picture and make sure your picture is 8K and the best it can possibly be, but to also ensure that you're getting the best performance out of your audio system. And your audio system may not be built to handle 8K video, and unless it was built this year, it definitely wasn't. And even some of the ones that were built this year, they could be, that's all new chipsets, right? So that's where AVRs and audio systems do audio so well, they may not be able to handle that same type of quality with video. So the best way to do that is to downscale the video, but leave the audio untouched. Now, using this device, we can, let's take a look here, use the downscaling to bypass these legacy systems. So let's take a look at our AVR bypass. And this is going to be the scenario where you will find yourself in. You will be getting calls from your clients that say, hey, I have a new 8K, I want a new 8K TV, I want a new 8K source, put them in there, baby. I got the new PS5, I finally got it, I paid $1,000 for it on eBay. Well, guess what? Now you can say, yes, we can definitely do that. And you don't have to follow up with, and we also need to upgrade your $5,000 AVR to an 8K one. You don't have to do this. You can use the AVR bypass. So when one of your clients is in that exact scenario, this is exactly how it works. You have your HDMI source, which is going to be probably a gaming console or a computer at this point. And it's going to go into the HDMI in. And then out of that HDMI 1, we're going to go directly to an 8K display. And our 8K display is going to look so good because we're using a direct pass-through. It's going to work just like an HDMI cable, no more latency than an HDMI cable. And out of output 2, we're going to downscale that. We're going to downscale it to 4K. You know what? We can even downscale it to 1080p, make that bandwidth shrink. but we're gonna leave the audio 100% untouched on that signal, and that audio is going to flow into an AVR. And so at the same time, you are going to have an HDMI cable that goes to your AVR. You're going to have an HDMI cable that goes to your 8K display, and they're going to be playing the exact same thing. But your AVR, what you're not doing is you're not going to take an HDMI cable out of that AVR and go into your TV. So you don't have to go through any legacy products. We're able to hear the best quality audio and see the best quality video at the exact same time without having to replace that AVR. This is the product that can do that. Many people have been using the 4x2, and that's a great product, our 42X. You can definitely use that product as well. It's going to be the same, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive than this, and it may have some, it has 4 inputs. So you may not need all the inputs. You may only have one HDMI 2.1 device. So now let's take a quick look at the audio extraction. As I told you guys, it's if you're familiar with AVPro Edge products, you're familiar with this. This is on the back of all of our matrix switchers, our AV over IP system. But you have your Toslink. That's where you can get up to 6-channel audio de-embedded out of here. This is going to be an LPCM audio or a Dolby Digital. It cannot do Atmos. It cannot do 8-channel audio. This is going to be 6 channels max. And then next to it is going to be your Phoenix connector, which we give you one so you could wire yourself for your classic, original, fully distributed 2-channel audio that most integrators are going to put throughout an entire home. And so right on the back, very easy. You can go right into the this system of pressing these buttons, and you can go and you can turn that audio extraction on, off, whatever you wanted to. If you leave it on, it's no big deal if you don't use it, right? I mentioned it briefly, but this product does have a 10-year warranty. So once I start setting this up and I'm sending 4K and 8K and I'm sending 8K into it, I don't really have to worry about it. Okay, this is set to be forgotten about, to be left alone, to just do what it does. And we have a warranty on it, so it's going to do that for at least 10 years. It's going to do it for a lot longer, as a matter of fact, but we just are putting our warranty at 10 years because who knows what's going to happen after that time. And this is a no BS warranty. It's not like we're like, well, it's the warranty, you didn't do this red tape thing, you didn't send in your card, you didn't register it, so we don't know that you have it. No, that's not how we work at all. You have a problem with the AVPro Edge product, you just give us a call. We'll help you with it. Simple as that. So then you have to make sure that you have the infrastructure. I talked about that a little bit, but in that scenario where we looked at the application diagram, you got to make sure that you're using 48 gigabit per second cabling. So, some of those are available through Bullet Train, AVPro Edge's HDMI cable company. So definitely, if you are looking to install 8K or run HDMI 2.1, make sure that you're using an upgraded cable, and AVPro Edge can help you with that. We have 2 different models. One is a active optical cable. That's going to go like tons of distances. That's what I have connected from this to this right now. So I just have a huge spool down here, spaghetti style. And then the other one is going to be just our standard cables, which is going to allow you to, go a little bit shorter distances, but make sure that you have that full 48 gig and save some money. So that's all I have here. Here's the specifications. You guys can take a look on that on our website as well. Why I have that up, I'll just let you know. The website is open. You can go right to avproedge.com and then type in the part number and get right to it, or you can go here, go to products, distribution amplifiers, and it's the DA-14X, 40 gigabit per second 1x4. Everything that you need to see is going to be available. You get some nice pictures of the box, everything we show right here. So that's up right now that you guys would be able to check that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here because that's all we have for the presentation portion of this. So now I just want to talk a little bit of how did I set up what we have right here? And how I set that up was, like I said, we have our 8K device. I chose an 8K resolution, like 7680 by 4320. We're coming out of here. That resolution is going into this device. And I didn't have an 8K display in my little work lab bench here area, but I do have my 8K Meridio device so I can actually see an 8K signal. I get my signal right on my screen. This acts as a little a TV, and so I'm using my 8K TV right here. It's coming right on through, completely not a non-manipulated signal at all. But if I tried to send that same signal to this TV, do you guys know what would happen? It wouldn't work. We would get a blank screen. We would get a no signal. This is a amazing device. It is even actually does do some HDMI 2.1 features because it's a new OLED, so it can do 4K 120 hertz, which is a lot more bandwidth. But what it's not able to do is work up to 40 gigabits per second. And so it can handle about 24 gigabits per second on this display. So I just bought this TV last year. Do I need to throw this nice OLED display away, the display that like wins the TV shootout every single year? I would suggest not throwing that away. This is a beautiful TV. So how are we going to get that to work? Well, we use that downscaling. So I went into here, I went into my buttons, I pressed the menu, it came up and told me my resolution right away, and then I was able to change it to my menu. It says EDID, I go 1 to scalar, press enter, and now I can get into my scaling features, and I can change right here. It'll show you down to 2K, down to 4K, you select enter, you select back, and that's how we're able to manipulate those. And that's exactly what we did here, and that's what you guys can do on your installs. So think of this TV as that AVR, right? I have my brand new 8K display, I have my brand new 8K source. They're working together perfectly, but I'm also able to work perfectly with any legacy products that we have right here. All right, guys, so this is our AC-DA-14X. It's a distribution amplifier, also known as a repeater or a splitter. It is available and able to be shipped right now. If you need to figure out, oh, Tom, how do I find where to buy this? Well, just go to our website. You can go to the buy section right here. We have all of our partners right here. You can also see that our map. I'm in Sioux Falls, so it's gonna take me there. But let's say I was in, Phoenix, Arizona. I can see right away, okay, I have a few different options. Which one's going to be close to me? Who am I normally working with? I have these options available. You can just go right to our website. I'm not sharing my screen right now, so nobody saw that. I didn't think about that. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. But here is what I was talking about, the buy section. It'll give you a map of everything that we have available for the locations where you can purchase AVPro Edge products, or just give us a call. We can make sure that we get you to the closest distributor. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking out my webinar, checking out the new product training. This will be up on YouTube, so if you're watching it live, feel free to tell all your friends, and they'll be able to see it up on YouTube either later today or tomorrow morning. Thanks again for installing with AVPro, and I really appreciate you guys coming out. All right, have a good day.